Hey guys, and welcome to Black Moon Lilith in the ninth house. If you have Black Moon Lilith in the ninth house in your natal chart in astrology, this video is for you. I'm Cassandra, the Saffron Sage, helping you use astrology to evolve. And we're going to talk about what Lilith means, what the ninth house means, and what it means if you have Lilith here. So, Lilith was the original First Lady who was kicked out of the Garden of Eden for not submitting to Adam. She wouldn't do what he wanted, which was the same thing she wanted, but she was outcast for it. And so wherever we have Black Moon Lilith in our natal chart is where people are going to punish us or shun us or outcast us for expressing that energy. And expressing that energy is a natural part. It's like our natural primal desires. So that being said, the ninth house is our higher belief system. It's the house of travel. It's the house of the law, publishing, foreign affairs, and really, the meaning of life falls under the ninth house. So when you have Black Moon Lilith in this house, and I have this placement, you can end up threatening people, your belief systems, what you think about what life means, whatever like horizons, your greater horizons can threaten people. And so I'll be able to give some examples of this just because I've lived through this one. So when you have Black Moon Lilith here, you could have an experience in life where you travel or you go somewhere else to find meaning. You live abroad, or you live among people who think differently, or you do something to sort of break free of the belief system that you came in with or that your parents had. This is true for me. I lived in South Korea for 3 years, and what really happened in that experience was I got a new belief system. I learned things about life. Having the different perspective of life, it changed me. And there were certain people who, when I came back, treated me like I was crazy for doing that, because these are people who will never leave where they are. They will never want to leave their belief system. And there's nothing wrong with that. But because that's where my Black Moon Lilith is, that is where I threaten people the most, is their belief systems. And so one of the ways this can show up is you could have a desire to poke holes in somebody's belief system. You could really have this like innate urge to prove them wrong or show them how wrong they are, show them your expanded view of life. And I would sort of caution against that, because that doesn't work very well. And it actually hurts people. It hurts people when they have those like walls, like psychological walls up of this is my life experience. To bust through that bubble can actually be psychologically damaging. So if you are someone who really likes to show people how wrong they are, I would say at least try to spar with people who are intellectually at this a similar level where it's not going to hurt them, if that makes sense. If you really have that need to sort of fight a little bit about what people believe or challenge them, you can challenge people's belief systems. You could just have this thing where that happens. And if you do that, people are likely going to react in a negative way. And I have seen this for myself too, where if I point out something, how somebody is wrong, they really, really, really retaliate against me, where someone else could do the same thing and they wouldn't get that same treatment because they don't have Lilith there provoking the hell out of people. And that's really what our Lilith does, right? It threatens people in that area of life. So you could threaten people's belief systems, and that can show up in a few ways, right? Like you could be a journalist and uncovering deep truths that people don't really want to see, and they reject that. It can be through you just like not accepting the status quo and really pointing out how wrong it is. And then everyone else who do accept that status quo are like, stop, you're wasting your time. It's just like this. We just accept that it's like this. So you might not be able to accept that it's like that. You might be the kind of person that feels like you need to change it, or you need to at least talk about it and show people, like, don't you see there's more? Don't you see there's another way of looking at things? And so if you have this challenge like I've had, then you'll have to learn when to do this and when to not do this, because sometimes it just gets you into more trouble. When you it's almost like coming into a job and like telling everyone else how to do it differently when they've been there longer than you have. You know, there's a time and a place to question someone and really get into a debate with them, and there is a time and a place to just let it go. And so if you have Lilith here, that might also be a lesson to learn. So again, sometimes people with this placement, they'll travel, they'll do something outside of their natural belief systems. Another thing that can happen here is that you can threaten the belief systems of the people around you, maybe because you're more educated, or because you had a different life experience, or because you know something, or because you're a lawyer, or because of many, many different possibilities. You can threaten people's belief systems. One of the reasons is because sometimes with Lilith here, you see through the BS. And I'll give another example from my life. I had neighbors take me to church with them when I was probably 5 or 6. And I remember the first day of youth group asking the leader, lady, what if the Bible is fake? And I remember what I really wanted to know was who wrote this? Right? Who wrote this? It wasn't God. And I knew that. At 5 or 6 years old, I knew God did not write the Bible. And that's what I was trying to say is how do you know God wrote this? How do you know these are God's words? And whatever answer she gave me did not satisfy me. I still was not convinced. And this is an example of me as a small child threatening this woman's belief system just by naturally how I see things, not being able to take someone else's word for it. So that's one way this placement can show up. Another way this can show up is sometimes you can end up hiding or protecting yourself by adopting certain belief systems. This is like church, joining a church, or joining any kind of group of people that think a certain way, and clinging to that belief system as your all. And I actually did this too. I was in a 12-step program when I was young, super young. I got sober when I was 14, and I was in that program for 13 years. And so what happened was I used that belief system as my everything. It was everything. And I really clung to it. And it's hard to describe what this is like if you haven't been through it and come out the other side. But I will say I ended up choosing to leave. I ended up choosing to believe that I can make up my own belief system and that I don't need other people to tell me what to think, because that is what it's like being in a program like that. Now, I'm not saying that anyone else who does 12-step programs are wrong for doing it. I know people who are really happy and they are not brainwashed, but I do think that if there is a placement that's going to get brainwashed and then unbrainwash themselves, that's going to be Lilith in the 9th house. And that can happen on a more serious level or a more, a lighter level where maybe the friend group you hang around thinks a certain way, and eventually you're I got to break free of this way of thinking. And then you have to deal with being the outcast, being the person who is no longer welcome, or being the person who, in my case, I'm just not going to go to 12-step programs, and I'm not going to try to indoctrinate 12-step people into not being in 12-step, because I know that it's not worth that fight. Okay, it's not worth that fight. But if I went to a 12-step meeting and talked about everything I believe, they would shun the hell out of me and they would outcast the hell out of me, because it doesn't work for them. And I think of Plato's allegory of the cave. You guys can look this up later, but basically the point is when people believe something they want to believe, it hurts them to believe the truth. It hurts them. They cannot handle the idea that they've lived their whole life believing something and then it's now not true. This is very, very hard for people psychologically. So if you have Lilith in your 9th house, this theme, the psychological theme of belief systems, of people believing things that are kind of limiting, having limiting viewpoints, having limiting beliefs, whether it's you or whether it's someone else or a bunch of other people this is probably a theme you're going to experience in life. And when I say limiting beliefs, I mean, that's a term people toss around and coaching to try to get you to pay them to coach you. But so when I'm talking about like those kind of limiting beliefs, I'm not talking about like, oh, I can't make money, you know, like coaches are talking about. I'm talking about beliefs about the world being big or small, the beliefs about what is possible, and just how those beliefs become solid and they become like a self-protection mechanism, to the point where I have certain people in my life who they don't even know me because who I am is so outside of their beliefs that they would rather make up a story in their head about who they think I am than to actually get to know me. And so if you have Lilith in the 9th house, that could be a theme for you as well. So let me check my notes to see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, so hiding in a group belief system, potentially breaking free of that group belief system. And people can reject your viewpoint on life, your philosophy, your need to travel, your viewpoint on the world, how you think. And again, it's usually going to be because you're going to be more broad-minded and they don't want to do that. You know, they're not going to go there with you. So if you have Lilith in this house, first of all, when you do meet people who share the same beliefs, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that is just so special because when most people reject you for something and then other people, you know, there are going to be people who cherish you and appreciate you for the belief system you have, even if your Lilith is here. And you know, sometimes I think that with Lilith here, you might never find people who believe everything you believe because, first of all, most of us are very different. And it's not likely that you're going to feel the same way on every single thing. But for someone with Lilith here, this is going to be more of a trigger, more of a wound when people don't share your exact belief system. So knowing that's a wound and being willing to work with that, the healing path is letting people think differently, letting it be okay that they are either trapped in a paradigm or maybe they're in a paradigm that's beyond where you are. You know, maybe they're in an open relationship and you're like, no, I don't believe in that. But letting it be okay that other people believe differently and not making it mean something about you. That is the healing path for Lilith in the 9th house. So that's what I have for this placement, you guys. Let me know in a comment below if this made sense to you. I love hearing from you. And also you can book a private reading with me. They're right now on sale through the 27th. If you want to know more about when I do sales and promotions and stuff, get on my email list where I'm always going to share with my email list first if I have a new offer or a sale or anything like that. And then also check out my other videos on Lilith through the signs. And I will see you all in the next video.